Breaking news from the front lines of the ongoing conflict captures the world's attention and underscores the changing nature of modern warfare. Ukraine reportedly waited with patience and precision for Russian commanders to mass tanks and armored vehicles at a main base before launching a devastating attack with massive 1,300-kilogram bombs. This move is being described by military analysts as one of the most strategically calculated strikes of the war. The timing, the choice of weapon, and the selection of targets show an approach that combines intelligence gathering, operational discipline, and a willingness to deploy some of the heaviest ordnance available. It sends a signal about capability and resolve, while at the same time reflecting a shift from reactive tactics to premeditated, high-impact blows. For anyone following the conflict, it is a vivid illustration of how patience and information can be turned into power on the battlefield. According to reports emerging from various sources, Ukrainian intelligence had been closely monitoring the movement of Russian forces. Commanders, staff officers, armored units, and support vehicles were all converging on a particular base believed to be a hub for upcoming operations. Rather than striking immediately, Ukrainian planners allowed the buildup to reach a peak. This is reminiscent of strategies seen in historical campaigns, where armies would wait for an opponent to concentrate before striking at the heart. When the critical mass had been achieved, the Ukrainian forces unleashed 1,300-kilogram bombs on the base, resulting in catastrophic destruction of equipment and reportedly severe losses among high-value targets. The move underscores not only the importance of intelligence, but also the effectiveness of acting at the right moment, a principle that has been known for centuries, but is now being applied with the precision of 21st century weaponry. From the outside, the base itself appeared to be a sprawling military complex with multiple sections devoted to armor, logistics, and command functions. Satellite images before the strike showed neat rows of tanks, armored personnel carriers, trucks, and fuel bowsers. Hangars and warehouses dotted the compound, and there were clearly marked command areas as well as maintenance zones. The landscape around the base was relatively open, making any large gathering of vehicles and personnel highly visible to surveillance drones and satellites. This external view tells its own story. A large exposed target filled with valuable assets. The Ukrainian planners took advantage of this configuration, knowing that a heavy bomb with precision guidance could destroy not just a single vehicle, but entire clusters of equipment and infrastructure. The external appearance of the base, therefore, contributed to its vulnerability. Inside the base, according to intelligence leaks, there were command centers, communications rooms, vehicle maintenance facilities, and ammunition storage areas. These interior components are essential to sustaining military operations and represent the nerve centers of any large unit. By timing the attack when these areas were most active and most stocked, the attackers ensured maximum disruption. It is reported that even hardened or semi-underground sections of the base sustained damage because of the sheer mass and penetrating power of the bombs used. In modern military operations, striking the interior of a base, its command and logistics heart, is often more damaging than simply destroying vehicles outside. This is what seems to have been achieved in this case. Not only the destruction of hardware, but also a deep blow to the operational coherence of the enemy. The performance of the weapons used in this strike has drawn particular attention. Heat. A 1,300-kilogram bomb is among the heaviest conventional munitions deployed in today's battlefields. Such a bomb can deliver a massive high-explosive payload capable of flattening reinforced structures and creating craters tens of meters wide. With precision guidance kits, these bombs no longer rely on approximate targeting, but can be directed to within a few meters of a designated point. This blend of brute force and pinpoint accuracy means that even well-protected facilities can be neutralized with fewer strikes. Analysts note that the performance of these munitions in this attack appears to have been exemplary, with the primary targets, command posts, armored concentrations, and logistics nodes, all suffering direct hits. The outcome demonstrates not only the destructive potential of the bomb itself, but also the effectiveness of the intelligence and delivery systems that put it on target. Safety considerations in warfare may sound paradoxical, but they are an increasingly important part of how operations are conducted. In this strike, reports indicate that Ukrainian forces waited for a moment when the target was purely military in nature and located away from civilian areas. This allowed them to deploy heavy bombs without the risk of widespread collateral damage. Modern guidance systems contribute to this safety by drastically reducing the circular error probable, the radius within which the bomb is likely to land, thereby minimizing unintended damage. By applying precision and timing, the attackers adhered to principles of proportionality and discrimination, which are part of international humanitarian norms. This not only spares non-combatants, but also strengthens the legitimacy of the operation in the eyes of observers and partners. What sets this strike apart, the unique selling point, to borrow a term from the commercial world, is the patience and intelligence-driven approach, combined with the deployment of rare heavy ordnance. Rather than a series of smaller, more frequent attacks, the planners opted for a single, overwhelming blow. This has psychological as well as material effects. It demonstrates that high-value targets are not beyond reach, and that even heavily protected bases can be reduced to ruins if they become complacent. It signals to the enemy that their command structure is vulnerable, and to allies that advanced capabilities are being put to effective use. The uniqueness also lies in the fusion of Western-supplied technologies, such as satellite imagery and guidance kits, with homegrown tactical discipline. This synergy allows a relatively smaller force to punch far above its weight, a lesson that militaries around the world will study closely. From a cost perspective, heavy guided bombs are expensive, each potentially costing hundreds of thousands of dollars when factoring in the guidance package, delivery platform, and support infrastructure. However, the strategic value of destroying dozens of tanks, vehicles, and a significant part of the enemy's command staff in one blow is far higher. In economic terms, it is akin to investing in a premium tool that accomplishes a job many cheaper tools could not do. Analysts often talk about a cost-exchange ratios in warfare, the relationship between the cost of the weapon used and the value of the target destroyed. In this case, the ratio appears to heavily favor the attacker. The loss to the defending force in terms of equipment, leadership, and operational tempo could run into tens of millions of dollars, not to mention the intangible cost of morale and the disruption of plans. The implications of this strike extend beyond the immediate destruction. It shows how the conflict is evolving into a contest of brains as much as brawn. In earlier phases, there were frequent reports of rapid reactive strikes, artillery duels, and drone skirmishes. Now, we are seeing long periods of observation followed by devastatingly accurate blows. This shift requires different skills, different training, and different equipment. It is also more efficient, delivering greater effect with fewer resources. The use of 1,300-kilogram bombs is emblematic of this new phase. These are not weapons one can use casually. They require deliberate targeting, planning, and coordination. When executed correctly, as appears to be the case here, the results can alter the local balance of power almost overnight. For observers and analysts, this episode is a case study in the importance of integrating intelligence with firepower. Surveillance from drones, satellites, and human sources provided the necessary information. Decision-makers then had to exercise discipline to wait for the right moment. Pilots, or launch crews, had to deliver the ordnance precisely. Each of these elements on its own is valuable. Together, they produce a multiplier effect. This is what modern combined arms warfare aspires to achieve. The sum is far greater than its parts. By applying this approach, Ukraine has shown that even a smaller military can deliver a strategic punch against a larger adversary. At the same time, the strike is a reminder of the risks of concentrating forces without adequate protection. In an era of ubiquitous surveillance and precision weapons, massing tanks and commanders in one place can create a tempting target. Militaries worldwide may study this incident as a warning. Defensive doctrines may have to adapt, dispersing assets more widely or investing more heavily in air defense and counter-surveillance to prevent similar disasters. In that sense, the strike does not just influence the current conflict, but may also shape future military thinking. In conclusion, the attack in which Ukraine reportedly waited for Russian commanders to mass tanks and then struck with 1,300-kilogram bombs is more than just a dramatic episode in an ongoing war. It is a window into how warfare is changing and how intelligence, patience, and precision can achieve effects once thought possible only for the largest powers. It illustrates the power of combining timely information with heavy ordnance, the value of minimizing collateral damage while maximizing impact, and the strategic payoff of acting at exactly the right moment. As this pattern repeats or evolves, it may influence not only the trajectory of the conflict, but also the doctrines of militaries around the world. The story of this single strike is, therefore, not just about a bomb or a base. It is about the future of conflict itself, where the side that thinks, waits, and strikes with precision may well hold the upper hand.